The passage of time, counted on fingers, calendars, rings of a tree, sunsets and sunrise, the counterweight of light on dark, and the work we do between. What we accomplish, our goals, where we're from, where we've been, a steadfast commitment to always improve. It takes time and sacrifices to get where we're going. The measure of our worth, our progress, our changes. Drawing lines in the sand, memories in the past, or patterns in the sky. Time makes its truth at ground level, in the dirt, where old friends and ancestors meet.
We bought this machine in 1992, and we took it to the woods, and we loaded 21 loads a day, 3 days in a row, with a prototype. Tigercat people was there. The way you had the engine in there with your hydraulic pumps all at the back, we've never seen the hydraulics operate that cool. So if you don't have any heat, you don't have any wear. That's what Johnny said. This machine, it can't wear very much if it doesn't have any heat. It seemed like a well-built machine. It was different than the others, but it also was a simple built machine. You know, it was built for the owner to be able to work on it. There was just a lot of advantages to this machine. It was quick on the ground, had a lot of power, had a lot of operator comfort. Most people that are smart enough to be an engineer, they're going to tell you the best way to do it. And then the logger says, well, I don't have a choice, that's the way they make it. Well, the Tigercat, that's not the case. The fact that they built a superior machine, and that's obvious, not by my judgment, but by how far they've came. And a startup company to move that far against some major companies. It was the people that did it, and it was also the machine. We thought that that machine could run 5 or 6 years. We had no idea that machine would run 15 or 16 years. It's got the same center section, it's got the same pins, it's got the same cylinders on it. Well, now it's probably got 35, 38, I don't know, it may have 40. You see what the meter is, and that's like the third meter that's been on. Sid, he grabbed the hoses and he said, I don't know how they keep those hydraulics that cool. And I said, Sid, this machine right here, this is the way to go. This thing right here will take over the industry. Logging is one of the oldest forms of, I guess, of making a living that there is. You had to have housing, you know. But as far as it making history, you don't really have the opportunity to do that very much. And that machine will go back to Canada now, and if it's 50 years from now, it'll still be there. Nobody's going to put that machine on a scrap yard. It'll never be burned. It'll never be discarded. It's always going to be there. And the further time goes on, and the longer Tigercat machines are there, the more important it'll become. I'm proud for that. Our past is the strongest link to our future.
our history, an anchor holding us in bay, a touchstone to pull aboard and ultimately set our course for home. The distance between birthplace and destination is vast. Where we will travel, who we will encounter, is a mystery. But while oceans may divide continents, similar landscapes and shared culture are what define people. Around the globe, forests and those that make their living within them are not so different. New Zealand. Pasture dominates the lowlands, arable soils maximized to feed the island nation's residents. With wild volcanic topography, foresters find themselves adapting their methods to ever-steepening terrain.
Well, we do see product changes all the time and modifications, and when we get a new machine and you see the updates that the operators have actually had a bit of input into, well, that makes the operators pretty happy to see that they're getting listened to. I don't think we can get them out of the Tigercats now. Our oldest skidder driver's 65, and I don't think if he didn't have a turnaround seat and a bogey axle like the 635, I don't think he'd be here. He'd be retired, but he's still pulling 500 or 600 tonne a day. No worries and jumping out of it at the end of the day. Pretty much when we started with the 6-wheel drive skidders, we went from 2 4-wheel drive skidders pulling the same amount of wood to the one 635 pretty much doing the same job.
Before bringing their timber to market, there are hurdles loggers here must overcome. Fortunately, devising equipment capable of clearing these obstacles is where Tigercat excels. Cable-assisted logging techniques put the machines to the test, but an interface of skilled operators and purpose-built features clear the slopes quickly, efficiently, and safely. From the west coast of New Zealand to the mist-shrouded volcanic plateau, with the support of innovative local industry leaders, Tigercat has carved out a path and a place for itself in the varied terrain surrounding Taupo.
My father was a forest manager. They accepted me, so off I went. I got a hostel out of it. I got a bed. And it was far away from home. It was in Christchurch. It was the only forestry school at the time. Yeah, when I started contracting in 98, 99, or 99, 2000. So I think they've either been listening to contractors and for what our wants are, or needs. They specialise in forestry equipment and they understand the numbers you're trying to hit and what you're trying to achieve. And sometimes they understand it better than yourself when you're first starting out, because I've seen it in other operations. You know? And they offer great advice. They understand your business. They're not there selling you a piece of earthwork equipment. What the self-levelers allowed us to do is work the steeper terrain, yeah, without having to jump out there on a chainsaw. Same, you don't hear about him complaining about being on angles of hills. He's very happy in that machine, very happy. Yeah, it's hard to get him out of it. It's hard to get someone else in there. yeah, we found with Tigercat, being a smaller organisation, they're happy to make changes. They listen to some of the contractors, and are prepared, being forestry focused, logging equipment only, that we know we're getting their full focus. They don't just sell you a bit of machinery and hope to see you again in 4 years' time. They're keeping in touch with you, seeing how you're getting on, where improvements can be made. My initial first Tigercat experience started with exploring the options for tackling steep terrain. And the relationships now changed to where Tigercat are coming to my crew and others in New Zealand and looking at where they can make improvements and meet our demands. Going forward, our relationship's building on what improvements I can make to my operations and the experiences we've had with Tigercat, meeting other contractors all around the world has definitely helped.
The long road home. Weary and sore with travel, a welcome mat out for muddy boots, and inside, a hot meal and old friends to greet you. Family to patch your wounds, to survey what lines the years have left behind and how the world has changed you. These are the ones that will lift you up, where you can be yourself. Home.
35,000 hours on first try? That's not so bad, eh?
Right? Yeah, he spent a lot of time on them.
No, it wasn't that. It sure paved the way for the company.
Because everything was made with a sketch.
Yeah.
So then they were running around trying to make all the drawings to document what was in it.
Considering that the conceptual work started in about October, and we were cutting trees from there in April, that's pretty fantastic. What's your memory of that, Wayne?
7 days. 7 days.
7 days.
7 days on the shop floor.
Yeah.
Somebody was
telling you you got 7 days, Dwayne. Get her done.
Yeah, get her done.
Get her done.
And they went out pretty quick.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for the dedication that you fellows projected there and the hard work, the basis for the company wouldn't have been formed.
What do you think there, Tony?
It's
quite the adventure.
Yeah, you kind of have to control the emotions. Look how straight it is, though. If you stand back and look at it after all these years,
Yeah.
it's not all that badly done out of shape. Well, we're going to rebuild it.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it a working machine again.
Yeah.
And it'll be here for posterity, I guess. So, we're going to start taking it apart tomorrow.
And who knows your qualities, your character, better than family? Who offers up their hearth to warm your frozen hands? Real community, the place you belong, is really just extended family. In hardship, or the long winter chill, how we give, share, or receive one another into our homes, this is what truly defines us. Choosing to make a difference, to make our communities thrive, is not the exception, but the rule. Weir Logging contributes heavily to their hometown of Caledonia, an emphasis on giving back, passed from father to son.
This is my father in 1971. This whole picture is nothing but rows of 4-foot wood piled 4 feet high. It looks just like a road basically, but it's nothing but wood. But that was how my father started, with a power saw. That was all he had, and probably barely enough money to get to work to run the power saw. That's how it all started.
These are lessons we learn from the ones we hold dearest.
I guess years ago I spent a lot of days sitting in the truck watching Dad, because I was pretty near froze when he's working on those old tree farmer winches. Just to guess how tough he was in the cold back then, like laying under machines fixing them all hours of the night. I think times have changed quite a bit since then. They do seem to last longer, the Tigercat, and the parts availability is good. Like, don't seem to matter what I need. 2 days maximum, I've got it. And if it isn't on the shelf, they'll take it off the machine, because I've seen them do it before. The roller bolts wasn't heavy enough for down in this terrain, and you couldn't get the broken ones out. So when we got the next 860C, they changed all that. Just something that simple makes the difference on if you want to spend the money to buy something. Now it's got 36,000 hours onto it, and still runs every day because they last. Just being the freedom. I don't like being confined in an office or anything like that. I like being out doing things with my hands. That's the biggest thing I like about it. I don't have any times I said I should slow down or try something different. And then when I think about it, I know I wouldn't want to do anything different. No, I do it. Love what I do, that's for sure.
Today is the first day of the rest of your life. But lucky for you, champ, you clean up good. They say hindsight is 20/20, and that a lifetime in any business will win certain accolades for the pioneers in the field. Life isn't lived through a rearview mirror for Robert Clary. It is an eye to the future that has served him well throughout his career. The definitive self-made man, he has been at the helm of his logging enterprise for decades and purchased the first serial production 726. A resource and inspiration for established and aspiring loggers alike, Roberts is a life lived in the woodlands and the forests of his adopted state.
Tree standing up, man sitting down. That don't work around here. That's got to be reversed. I started in the wood business in February 1966. Never looked back. We a transplant. We from Florida originally. Right down there where old Hodge is at. All got the same mindset. We like to move wood. But being outside and with nature and all that, that's the part I like. Hard work and clean living, I do it every time. It was a lot of fun. How you say it, apprehend, it'll never work and that sort of thing. Why you want to get involved with somebody that you don't even have a dealer for? Definitely a David and Goliath scenario, to say the least. We just had the mindset that you needed to get rid of it when it got that many hours on it. So it took us a machine or two to realize that with Tigercat, you just keep going. They just don't wear out. We never put a center section in all the 25 years we've ever run them. Today's business, you got to have, you got to be able to produce and produce consistent. Tigercat does that for you. It don't matter if it's the oldest one you got or if it's the newest one you got. There's just very little difference in the dependability. Whatever we need, it's going to be Tigercat. That just goes without saying. That's just second nature. The rest, they say, is history.
Hell, the girl I was dating at the time, I told her that I was gonna go in logging business, and she told her mom, and man, her mom told me I was an idiot. We're no longer together.
Experience and wisdom help to maintain our ties to the past. Too often, our elders are overlooked, and we forget their continued ability to offer fresh insight and a novel approach to the world. The importance of balancing legacy with youth and vitality can be found in Palmyra, South Carolina, where young blood reflects a stoic maturity far past its years. A common thread begins to emerge, where one generation of loggers passes the torch to the next, where good counsel and fatherly advice help steer the direction of modern forestry practice. Tigercat is there to help in this transition, from an upstart, unknown brand to a proven industry leader.
Probably my fondest memories were being with my dad and going with him and working with him on Saturdays and Fridays, and, when we weren't doing much, just being around it and being around my uncle and cousins, and like I said, just all being together and learning, just what I learned from all of them is, that's something you can't learn in school. I had a brother, he got killed in a car wreck in March of 2014, and he was younger, and we had always talked about, hey, one day we're gonna start a logging crew. A year later, the opportunity came up, and I jumped on it. I was a little nervous about it. You have to be very competitive, and to be competitive, you have to have good equipment. And my dad really told me, he always said, he said, man, those Tigercat bunchers are where it's at. The motor sits in there right. It's easy to get to everything. You don't have the trouble out of hoses. You don't have to tilt the cab and find a hose or a leak. And the first time I got on the 620C, it was on Saturday morning. And man, it was a world of difference. It was so much more operator friendly, pulls more wood, it's got more power, it moves the loader better, it's got length, it's got weight, and everything's just balanced out. Well, I like running equipment, not fixing it. That just stuck in my head whenever I started up. I knew what I needed to have to make a go of it. It never was an option to buy anything else because my dad, he's a believer in Tigercat. I believe in it. A lot of folks around here believe in it. People mimic success, and a lot of successful people run Tigercat equipment. Whenever somebody asked me what I wanted to do, there was never any question in my mind. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a logger.
Lord, high and holy, meek and lowly, you brought me down to the valley where I live in the dirt, but see you in the heights. I'm surrounded by mountains of sin. Even in the valley, shining light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light. Let me learn that the way up is the way down. And to bear the cross is to wear the crown. That the broken heart is the healing heart. That the repenting soul is victorious. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, oh, shine your light. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light. Even in the valley, shine a light in my darkness. Even in the valley, shine your light.
What lives in a name, if not lineage and ancestry? Numbers are specific, but rarely personal. It's the hands, the fingerprints, and the stories of those involved that impart a soul into a thing, making something lifeless alive again. Skill and expertise breathing life back into a shell. The rough work, the hard work that determines who gets to carry on the name, who or what deserves that distinction. The rough work and hard work that gets us back on our feet and strong enough to run again.
There's a bit of nostalgia associated with it. It certainly changed our lives.
We were in the midst of a recession at that time, and several people were still with us, questioned my sanity that what little money we had left, we were investing in this R&D project based purely on Ken's faith, the belief that anything anybody else can do, our team can do better. And they saw this money going out in developing this thing. They definitely questioned our sanity.
And the people who were building it had never seen a tree cut ever by any mechanical means. And there was a certain amount of doubt as to what exactly it was that we were doing.
A potential customer said, look, if you're going to build a machine, you've got to build us a center section that will work. And we did. That center joint design now has been used in every wheeled machine that we have built since that time.
Safety is one of the main things, and we have been involved extensively in the development of steep ground harvesting technologies. As time goes on, more and more of the world's areas where trees are planted will shift to steep ground from conventional flat ground applications to accommodate the foodstuff needs of the world's growing population. So that will mean ever more difficult terrain that we must operate in, needing even tougher and perhaps even some remote-controlled machines. Tigercat's one of the premier producers of machines to cut and extract wood, and we're in the process now of developing a family of products for the silvicultural market to assist in mechanized planting and tending of the juvenile trees for various parts of the world. Part of the future is continued advancement in the cut-to-length technologies.
It's difficult to get young people to go into the woods and put in those long hours operating machinery. We're going to have to make it much more pleasant for the next generations to go into the woods and plant trees and harvest them. There is lots of room there for innovation.
You know, for the last couple of years, when you're going to retire, hell, you got to have a job before you retire. I don't have a job. I just got a way of life. You know, I could say that I was sad to see it go, but I'm not. I was real happy. Let me put it in perspective. I was real happy the day it arrived in Florida and we unloaded it and went to cutting wood. And seeing it go down the road yesterday out of those weeds where I've had it sitting, waiting for it to go back, was like it's finally happened. We finally get to send this tractor home. So it's going back to where it started to do what I said a while ago, to be there from now on, you know. I don't know how many years, but I think a long time. So it brought back a lot of memories, but those are good memories. And to remember things that we've done and talk about them and all, but to know that the story didn't end in a junkyard. It did not end. See, the story is what's so important about Tigercat as a company and about being part of that story. Because yesterday when it left, the story had another chapter. And as it gets back up there, there's more chapters to be written. And I'm real happy to be part of that story. And I was glad to see it going home.